Hey there, Fletcher from All Things Overlanding here, and today I'm going to be talking about the Setpower RV45S. This is a new fridge that I just picked up to potentially replace my IceCo, and I'm going to kind of show you why. I'm going to show you the features and stuff of this fridge. I'm going to show you the power usage that it takes upon startup and that sort of thing. I'm going to try and give you as much in the way of dimensions and just information about this fridge as possible, and then in the end I'm going to tell you kind of why I selected this fridge and why I think it might be a good replacement for my current fridge. So if you want to learn more about the Setpower RV45S fridge freezer, stay tuned.
Understand where it came from, but you got it, my got it. It began in the land of the sandstorm. I fought it, though I wanted everything to do with what you give to me.
Alright, so let's start by talking about just general specs and dimensions. This is a 45 liter or 47 quart fridge capacity wise. The dimensions of the fridge are 27 inches long by 19 inches tall by 16 inches deep. So now let's kind of dive into some of the features of this fridge, and then I'll end by talking about kind of why I chose this one and why I think this one is a little bit more unique than a lot of the fridge options out there. All right, so starting at the control bank here, one thing that I really like is just how clear everything is. On a lot of these, it's kind of hidden in the display, so it's kind of hard to tell if you know how to control it, how to get it onto the different battery protections, or how to get the compressor speed turned up. On here, it's a very straightforward display, which I really like. So basically, you've got your sort of standard battery protection options of low, medium, and high. Again, if you're running this off your starter battery or something like that, probably not the best idea just because it does pull a decent amount of power. On startup, it pulls about 30 to 45 watts, usually on the lower side of that, but it kind of depends on the temperature too. But so with the battery protection, of course, if you set it to high, then it's going to turn off earlier. So it's not going to run your battery down as much. It's going to be more sensitive to protecting your battery. Now to change this setting, all you got to do is hold the set button for a second and then it will move. And when you let go, it's going to stop changing. So if you want it to go up to high, you just hold it for a couple seconds. You'll see it move to mid. Hold it again. You'll see it move to high. Hold it again. You'll see it move to low. Same goes for compressor speed. So if you don't care about it getting cold as fast, if you don't want to sort of fast cool it, then you can hold the button for a second and it will change to minimum. Hold it again, changes back up to maximum. I generally just keep it on max. Of course, it pulls a little bit more power that way, but it gets cold quicker and then the compressor can shut off. And then of course for your temperature up here, it shows you if it's running or not. And then you can hit these buttons to set it to the temp that you want. Now, once that goes away here in a second, it's going to show you the temperature that it currently is, and then it's going to try and keep it at the temperature that you set it to. Now, one note for this fridge, and basically any of these DC fridges, is don't be fooled by this temperature on the screen. Remember that the compressor turns on and off. So if you want to make sure that your food stays at an appropriate level temperature-wise, don't just set it to like 32 or something and then leave it there, because then it's going to fluctuate between maybe high 30s, low 40s down to 32. So what I actually have had success with is keeping it around 25. If I keep it set to about 25, then the actual temperature of the food is usually like low to mid 30s, which is right where I want it. So just an FYI, that's most of these DC fridges, but this one does the same thing as well. If you threw an actual thermometer in there and set it to 25, it stays about 32 to 35 degrees, somewhere in that ballpark. Another thing that I really like is that the fuse is super easily accessible. The plug is super easy to plug in, and it's right here on the end, so that's pretty nice. It takes a standard 12-volt plug, which means that you can interchange these. I actually have my current fridge hardwired, so the nice thing is I can unplug my current fridge and then just plug this one in using the existing hardwired cord. So that saves me a little bit of effort, which is nice. Let's talk about features here, because mine, as you can see, my IceCo is stored 24/7 on the outside of my truck. Now, it is under my rooftop tent, so it is somewhat protected, but since it's going to be in the elements, I do really like these sort of slatted vents on the side of here, because that's going to keep the majority of stuff out. You know, people have asked me about dust and things like that. I did go through Wyoming with the old fridge for 2 weeks consecutively with it totally open to the elements, and that was 7 months ago and it still runs fine. So I kind of feel that most of these fridges are pretty resilient. This one, of course, with the hard case and the latching latches, is probably a little bit more hardy than most of these fridges. So again, at the end, I'm going to walk you through kind of the features that stood out to me on this fridge and kind of why I picked this up as a possible replacement for my existing fridge. So some other nice features that I like is there is this sticker on here that shows you any of the potential codes that you might see. A lot of the times that's going to be hidden away in your manual, which I obviously don't carry with me. I basically never open these things. because they're pretty straightforward. You plug it in, you hold the on button, and that's how you turn on the fridge. But again, if they put all the instructions in the manual and you don't have it with you, then that's going to be a problem. But they have it right here on the side of the fridge, so you know what's going on. Like most of these fridges, it does come with a DC plug, so just a normal 12-volt cigarette style plug. Then this one also comes with an AC plug. The thing that's interesting about this is that this plugs into this brick here, but then it actually just requires the DC plug as well. Now the pro of that is it acts as an extension, right? So if you needed a lot of cord to get this from your plug, let's say in your vehicle to like the back of your SUV or somewhere in the back of your truck from a battery bank to the fridge, you can basically use this as a really long extension. So you'd have the DC cord plugged into the AC cord and then going into the brick and into the wall if you wanted to power this thing off AC. But the sort of downside of that is you have to have both plugs. You can't use them independently. So just an FYI on that, but not necessarily a bad thing, just an interesting choice on how they run the fridge. You only get one sort of standardized plug for it, and it's the DC, and then you plug the DC into the AC to make it work on a wall socket, for example. Again, just pointing that out so that you're aware of that if you're looking at this fridge and you wanted to run it off AC primarily, that is kind of how that functions. Now, another thing that I really like is these heavy-duty sort of metal handles, and they are spring-loaded. So when you pull them up, they come up, they allow you to pick up the fridge. They're very super sturdy and strong because they're all made of metal. The clamp is metal, the bracket's metal, the actual handle is metal. It makes it really easy to carry, but then it holds these down to the side, so you don't have to worry about these things flopping around like some of the plastic ones, which I really like. And then the main thing that drew me to the fridge is the metal exterior with the really nice, like I mentioned, slatted vents on it, and the latching lid. The latching lid is kind of the biggest thing for me because a lot of these other fridges that are made of plastic just have your sort of standard plastic latch, and I just worry about that breaking, right? On all these sort of Alpacool style fridges, I worry about that plastic clasp breaking, because if that breaks, then you basically have a useless fridge. It won't stay sealed, and it's going to work really hard to try and keep that thing cool because it's not going to be sealed. Whereas with these metal latches, they actually pull the lid down so you have a nice tight seal, and they're not going to bounce around. If you're off-road, you don't have to worry about that plastic breaking. They're metal to metal, so it does make me feel a lot better about the way that the lid closes and how sturdy it's going to be when off-roading or doing overlanding type things. So let's open it up and look at the inside here just to give you an idea. Again, like most fridges, it does have this nice rubber seal that sort of seats down on this lip. And then again, with those latches, it pulls it nice and tight so it keeps your cold air in, which is nice. Another thing that I like is they have two baskets. So, you know, this smaller space on top of the compressor is one that's generally sort of ignored and not really used a whole lot, but I like that they give you a separate removable basket so that, like, what I'm picturing for this is bottles of water, drinks, that kind of thing, condiments can go up there, and then maybe the bulk of the main food can go down here. Now, I've taken this on 2 or 3 trips so far. It's done great. Once it gets cooled down, it doesn't take much power at all to run, which has been nice. And I really like the overall form factor of it and the shape and size of it, because it's just, this chest freezer style is really easy to use, because you just have so much room and it's so easy to pack and get stuff in and out with the separate baskets from both sections of this fridge. A couple of other pieces of useful information is that they do have a 3-year warranty on this fridge, which is really, really nice. They've been around since 2008, so they're a good company. You've probably heard of the name. I've heard of them a lot. And this is a really budget-friendly fridge. There's a coupon on this thing pretty much all the time on Amazon from what I've seen. It retails for about $3.99, but there's a $60 off coupon, so you can call this thing a $340 really nice, really solid, well-built, high-quality fridge with nice latching lid for $340, which is about the price of most of the plastic lidded ones, which I really, really like. I think for the price, this is a really good buy compared to some of the competitors. Another note is that they do have a slide for this, so if you're looking to do something like I did with my old one, and I'll put a card up here to the DIY tilting slide that I made if you're looking to build your own do-it-yourself tilting slide, because the ones you buy are really expensive. I actually built one myself for almost no money, and it works really well. I plan to do the same thing with this. I'm gonna have to get the slide for it because this is a little bit different dimensions-wise from my old fridge, but they do have a slide for it. So if you want that, you can purchase that as well. There'll be a link in the description down below to the fridge and that slide as well, so that you can find it really easily. So one last thing to mention is that with any DC fridge, any sort of fridge that you're going to use for camping or overlanding, you do have to think about the power source. You obviously want to have some sort of a portable power bank or something like that, you can run it off of your starter battery. If you're driving around and the alternator is charging that during the day, you could totally run it off of your car battery. But these do have fairly high power needs, so you're going to want to make sure that you don't kill your battery, which is what the battery protection is for. It will protect it, but if it shuts itself off to protect your battery, your food's going to warm up and it's not going to be good. So you do want to just think about power options. There are quite a few out there. I'm currently running it off my BioLite 1500 watt power bank, really nice power bank, but also a really pricey power bank. But you could run it off something like a 500 watt Blue Eddy, EcoFlow, Jackery. Those kind of batteries will generally do it just as well. Again, I'll throw some links to those down in the description as well, just to make finding a battery just as easy as possible, but all those should run any sort of fridge like this. So that's going to do it for the Setpower RV45S. Again, you can see how sturdily it's built. You can kind of see my thought process on why I'm thinking of switching to this chest style fridge with the heavier duty latches and stuff. I do a lot of off-roading and overlanding stuff, so it's just nice to have something that I don't have to worry about breaking when I'm out in the middle of nowhere. So again, check the description down below for links to everything that I talked about in this video to make finding that stuff as easy as possible. Also in the description will be links to all my social channels, so wherever you'd like to join the conversation, I'd love to have you come hang out on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, wherever you want to hang out, I'm there. Then there's also a link to my website where I've got funny overlanding and camping themed patches and stickers. So again, stuff for your fridge to stick on the outside, stuff for your vehicle, for your window, things for your headliner in your vehicle or your rooftop tent, Velcro back patches and stickers, funny overlanding camping theme. And then last but not least, there are also links to my Patreon page where we've got a 24/7 Discord. We all kind of chat about gear and trips and that sort of thing. And there's also a link to the Newbie Overlanders Facebook group, which is totally free to join and an awesome place, especially if you're newer to overlanding and trying to learn a little bit about it without being bullied. Of course, if you've got any questions or anything like that, make sure to post up down below in the comments. Hit that like button if you got value out of the video, and make sure to subscribe if you're not already subscribed. I do a ton of gear type videos. I do a ton of general overlanding type videos, and I'm a Nissan guy, so I do a bunch of stuff about Nissan trucks. So if you're into any of that, I'd love to have you as a subscriber. But again, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.